Every system has rules, spoken and unspoken, written and understood. You learn them early, absorb them without question. You follow them because everyone does, because deviation carries risk, because conformity feels safe. And for most people, the rules hold. They live entire lives inside invisible boundaries they never think to cross. But sometimes, something enters. A force, a presence, a moment. And the rules you thought were permanent reveal themselves as choices. Arbitrary, breakable. This is the story of a man who followed every rule, until a single scent showed him he didn't have to. It showed him that the game he'd been playing was one he'd agreed to without ever knowing, and that changing the rules was always an option. He was a senior accountant at a mid-sized firm, 15 years in the same industry, same structure, same expectations. The rules were crystal clear. Conservative dress, conservative behavior, conservative everything. Show up early, stay late, bill hours. Keep your head down, don't stand out, don't make waves, don't risk anything. He'd followed those rules perfectly. He had the career to prove it. Steady progression, reliable income, respect from colleagues who respected the same rules he did. But somewhere beneath the compliance, beneath the safety, there was a question he'd never allowed himself to ask. What if the rules are wrong? The firm was merging with a larger competitor. Consolidation, efficiency, synergy, all the corporate buzzwords that mean some people are about to lose their jobs. He wasn't worried. He'd followed the rules. He'd done everything right, built relationships, proven his value. He was safe, or so he believed, until the consultants arrived. They came in a team of 4, external advisors brought in to assess personnel, to determine who stays, who goes, who fits the new structure. 3 of them were exactly what he expected. Suits, clipboards, corporate speak. But the 4th was different. A woman, maybe in her early 40s. She didn't dress like the others. No corporate uniform. She wore black. Simple, but with an expensive cut. Statement jewelry. Silver and geometric. Her hair was short and asymmetric. And she moved differently. Not rushed. Not performing efficiency. Just present. Deliberate. Like someone who'd stopped following rules a long time ago and built her own system instead. The assessments began. 30-minute individual interviews. His turn came on a Wednesday afternoon. He walked into the conference room, sat down, and prepared to perform. To demonstrate his value, to prove he belonged. The 3 standard consultants asked standard questions. Performance metrics, team dynamics, long-term goals. He gave standard answers. The ones he'd practiced. The ones that showed he understood the rules. That he was safe, reliable, no risk. But the woman, she didn't ask questions. She just sat there, watching, taking no notes. Her attention was complete, but unreadable. And then he noticed it. A scent, faint at first, then growing. It wasn't corporate. It wasn't safe. It had spice in it. Something sharp, like pepper maybe. And underneath, something sweet but dark. Fig, tobacco. It felt deliberate, constructed. Like someone who'd thought carefully about how they wanted to be remembered. Someone who'd decided that being memorable mattered more than being acceptable. The scent reached him, and something shifted. He was mid-sentence, talking about process improvements, following the script. And suddenly, he heard himself. He heard how rehearsed it sounded, how empty, how deeply he'd internalized the rules. Not because they made sense, but because deviation felt dangerous. And sitting across from this woman, who clearly didn't care about their rules, wearing a scent that announced its refusal to blend in, he felt something crack. The performance stuttered. He stopped talking. Mid-thought, just stopped. The silence stretched. The 3 standard consultants looked uncomfortable, waiting for him to continue. But the woman just watched. Her expression was unchanged. Not judging, not encouraging, just present, witnessing. And in that silence, in that space she didn't try to fill, he made a choice. He abandoned the script. He started talking honestly about the work, about the frustrations, about the inefficiencies everyone knew existed but nobody mentioned because mentioning them broke the rules, about how the firm prioritized appearance over results, compliance over innovation, safety over growth. The standard consultants shifted in their seats. This wasn't protocol, but the woman leaned forward slightly, the first movement she'd made, and he kept talking, not performing, not following rules. Used speaking about what actually mattered, about the gap between what they said they valued and what they actually rewarded. The interview ended. He walked out completely uncertain. Had he just ended his career? Violated every rule that had kept him safe for 15 years? Probably. But he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Alive, present, real. Nascent had done something, not changed him, but revealed him, shown him that the rules he'd been following weren't natural law. They were choices, made by people maintained by compliance, and completely breakable. 2 weeks later, the assessments concluded. He expected to be fired. Instead, he got promoted. A new role on an innovation team, reporting directly to senior management. The woman had written his recommendation. She said he was the only person in the firm who demonstrated actual thinking instead of just performing compliance. That the company needed people who could see past the rules to what actually mattered. It didn't make sense. Until it did. The rules he'd been following weren't designed to protect him. They were designed to protect the system, to maintain order, to prevent change. And the moment someone valued change over order, the rules revealed themselves as obstacles instead of guidelines. He started noticing them everywhere. The unspoken rules: don't speak up in meetings unless you have the perfect answer. Don't challenge senior leadership. Don't dress too differently. Don't smell too distinctly. Don't stand out. Don't risk anything. Every rule was designed to maintain the status quo, and he realized he'd been complicit, enforcing these rules on himself more strictly than anyone else. So he started experimenting. Small deviations at first. He spoke up in meetings without perfect answers, just offering thoughts and questions. He expected pushback, but he got engagement instead. People had been waiting for someone to break the silence. Meetings became dialogues instead of performances. He changed how he dressed. Nothing radical, but intentional. Colors instead of gray. He bought new fragrance. Something distinctive, not loud, but present. It had pepper, cedar, something green and sharp, and underneath, a trace of warmth, amber, and vanilla. When a worried people reacted differently, they paid more attention. They remembered conversations. They sought his input. The scent was a daily reminder that rules were optional, that the game could be played differently. That standing out was a choice he'd had all along, Mons said. His new role flourished. The innovation team generated ideas, implemented changes, and broke rules that had existed for decades, not recklessly, but strategically. And the firm improved, not because the old rules were wrong, but because they had outlived their purpose. He often thought about the woman, the consultant who'd sat silent and watched him perform, whose scent had cracked something open. He never saw her again, but her influence remained, not in what she said, but in what she represented. Permission to deviate, permission to build new systems instead of just maintaining old ones. He learned her name eventually, found her profile online. She specialized in identifying people who were capable of more than their current systems allowed. People who followed rules not because they believed in them, but because they didn't know there were alternatives. She found those people, cracked them open, and set them free. The scent was part of it. A signal, a test. It violated corporate norms, and people who noticed it, who let it crack their own compliance. Those were the people capable of change. Years later, he runs that division now. Innovation became strategy. Disruption became culture. The firm is different, not because he changed everything at once, but because he started breaking rules. Small ones at first, then larger ones, and each broken rule revealed it had never been necessary hus habitual, just maintained by collective compliance. He still wears that fragrance, the one with pepper and cedar and warmth underneath. It's become his signature. When he enters a room, it announces him, subtly, confidently. It says, "I've thought about this. I care about details. I refuse to be generic." And if you notice, if you respond to it, if it makes you question your own compliance, then we should talk. Because you're ready to break rules, ready to build new systems, ready to discover that the boundaries you thought were permanent were always just suggestions, breakable by individual choice. A scent that changed the rules. Not because the scent had power, but because it represented something. A refusal to comply. A commitment to distinction. A belief that being memorable matters more than being acceptable. And for someone ready to hear that message, ready to receive that permission, ready to crack open their own compliance, that scent was everything. It was the signal, the permission, the proof. The rules were always optional, and that choice, once you make it, changes everything. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button for more content just like this. See you next time.